You've developed your internal teams. You've got your data ready. You got your data ready and scrubbed, and you have your service requirements. And you've also now had those meetings with your incumbent carriers and also some new carriers that you vetted, and they're going to participate in this request for sourcing strategy. And now we're at the point where you need to send these carriers what we would call a bid outline. So traditionally what we see at this part of the carrier sourcing strategy is a company will go and, and sometimes, honestly, sometimes we see it as an email where they're going out to the carriers and they're saying, hey, I have a shipment in this lane and it's going from this zip and it's going to that zip and it's going to move X amount of times, per month. Give me a rate. And sometimes, maybe it's a little more sophisticated than this, and they have, they did get that data ready, right? So maybe they have some shipment level data, and they're sending the carriers a file of data, and they're saying, give me a price. And this is where you get in trouble. And this is why we believe this whiteboard series is so important. And so what we're going to outline, what I'll outline is really what that should look like. It isn't just, here's a lane, give me a rate. It's not. It's so important that the carriers have a full understanding of not just the lanes, but the company. So what should your bid outline look like? We do see this as a pretty robust bid workbook, okay? So we'll call it a workbook just for ease. So you're gonna start with your story. Sounds silly, but it's important. So outline the company, when the company was founded, what the company does, what the company's mission is, their value statement is. This is important. Outline the story of the company for the carriers. And then you're gonna want to provide them a full locations list. And not just your locations that you're shipping and receiving from, but you want to provide them your suppliers, your locations, right? And then all of your customer locations. And if you're doing it really well, you may even at this location level, give them the parameters around the shipping and receiving hours or dock appointments required. If you can manage all that in a locations list for your carriers and your bid outline, you're in a really, really good spot. And I know we talk about this a lot, but this is critical because supply chains are really complicated. And so if you can spell these out for them in steps and make it visually easy for them to read, they have that much of a better understanding when it comes time for the next step, which is you're gonna share them the data, right? So if you tell your story, you give them your locations, maybe even you give them a list of your products. Then they get to the individual shipment data and they've got a good idea of the company, the organization. Now they have the shipment data, which then gives them the ability to review their internal rating procedures and decide, okay, what can I offer for pricing with this customer who has these locations they're moving freight in and out of, and they gave us really solid shipment data. The other piece of this is accessorials. So remember we talked about the service requirements and making sure you know what they are. So you potentially want to negotiate some of those accessorials. You may have a liftgate charge and you may want it waived. You may deliver to a lot of residents and so you need a negotiated charge for that. The most common one is fuel surcharge, right? FSC. You should have your own negotiated fuel surcharge, and it should be part of your bid outline. So I hope this makes some sense. Get really, really good about telling the company story, back it up with data, even the map out the life cycle of an order and show that visually to a carrier. It's so, so, so important. So you're gonna release this outline, and the last thing you're gonna give them is a timeline. So you're gonna release this bid, probably gonna do it via email, attach this bid outline with it, and then you're gonna call them. And you are gonna, schedule another call with these carriers and you are going to step through this entire document, and they're going to have questions, and you're going to want to answer them. And they may have questions that you didn't even think about, and you say, oh shoot, I should have put this in the bid outline. You're then going to update it, and you're not just going to update the carrier who asked the question, you're going to send it back out to all carriers. So a great example of that is, and this gets missed a lot, is you'll issue a bid outline and say you've done it really well, and a carrier will ask for pictures of the freight. Great, right? So get those pictures of the freight captured and then get them out to all of the carriers, because you want to put them all in the best position to provide you with the best service offering. So I know this may seem daunting, but this is very, very important. If you don't do this and you just go ask for a price and you give them a little bit of information, chances are when it comes time to implement any of this pricing with these carriers, they're not going to hold it. And I'm sure in your lifetime, you've seen that happen, where the carrier has offered a rate, and then when it comes time to use the carrier, they can't hold the rate. And most of the time, that's because you didn't do this. And yes, it's daunting. And if you have a carrier who doesn't want to participate in the sourcing strategy this way, they're not a carrier you want to do business with. So it also is part of a vetting process, right? If there are carriers just out chasing freight and trying to buy shipments, those aren't carriers you want to work with anyway. And you'll be able to weed them out pretty quickly by sticking to a true sourcing strategy and treating it as a partnership, not just a price.